This is Say Their Names to Save Their Lives female edition because, as we know, the women in the Islamic Republic of Iran are handled in secret. Huge trigger warning. This is 19-year-old Parmida Mahdipour. She was kidnapped from a store in October by plainclothed officers. Her family could not find her for a long time. They looked everywhere in morgues and they couldn't find her. During her time in confinement, she was severely sexually assaulted. At one point, she was taken to the confession room and a woman removed her clothes. Her hands were tied and a man sexually assaulted and repeatedly raped her and beat her. He told her that she is filthy and she should be treated like an animal. Her only recourse was to spit in his face. For doing that, she was sentenced to 5 years for obstruction of justice. Parmida was released on bail, and yesterday she put something on her Instagram account saying, basically, the stories are not true, everything's fine, don't worry about me, and mysteriously deletes all of her Instagram pictures. This is not something that we haven't seen before. If you remember, Shervin Hajipour, who is the singer, when he was released on bail, he also released a similar statement saying everything's fine, despite the fact that the reports coming from friends and family completely contradicted that narrative. Obviously something is not adding up, but listen to this. CNN recently did an investigation on Nika Shakarami, if you remember, the 16-year-old girl who was kidnapped by the IRGC, beaten, sexually assaulted, and killed. In the second part of that series, they looked into the fact that her Instagram account also mysteriously disappeared.
Now CNN can exclusively reveal that Meta, Instagram's parent company, investigated Nika's account after she disappeared, concluding they themselves were not involved in disabling it. In other words, it was either Nika herself or, crucially, someone with access to her account that took it down. And as recent reporting by The Intercept revealed Iran's highly sophisticated system for phone hacking, it raises the question of whether social media platforms can keep accounts secure.
And the regime essentially admitted that they had gone through her phone.
Documents extracted from Nika's mobile and Instagram conversations. It was an open acknowledgement they were accessing her phone and her social media accounts.
There's no way it could have been Nika herself because her account reappeared after she had already been killed.
Weeks after her death, two of her friends noticed her account was back online. It disappeared shortly after.
There is good reason to be extremely suspicious of any of these messages coming out of protesters who are released on bail. This is Nilufar Shakeri, a 29-year-old woman who was also kidnapped from her home in Karaj and has been detained ever since. Her mother recently made a video asking people, desperately begging people to help.
من عاجزانه از شما درخواست کمک دارم. لطفاً کمک کنید.
Her condition in prison is dire. She has internal bleeding from rape, torture, violence, and sexual assault. She was transferred to a hospital on December 24th, but she was then immediately returned to prison. Here is a video of plainclothed officers escorting her out of the hospital and back to prison. This is Elham Modaresi. She's a 32-year-old Kurdish artist who was also kidnapped from her home in Karaj. Her sister says that her health condition is critical. She has known liver problems that can lead to complete liver failure if she doesn't get immediate medical attention. She is still being held in confinement as they continue to torture her into confessing to a crime that she did not commit. Finally, Armita Abbasi, who we've already discussed on this page. According to this Instagram page, Where is Armita? She has now been missing for 80 days. CNN recently released a report detailing how the Islamic Republic of Iran uses rape. 20-year-old Armita was kidnapped again by plainclothed officers, and we heard some gruesome stories about what happened to her. She randomly showed up at a hospital, escorted by those same officers, and here is what the medical staff at the hospital had to say.
She was my patient. I went to her bedside. They had shaved her hair. She was scared and was trembling. When she first came in, they said it was rectal bleeding due to repeated rape. The plainclothesmen insisted that the doctor write that the rape was from prior to her arrest.
All four of these women are in grave danger if we don't continue to say their names. Don't listen to anybody that says that resharing and hashtagging doesn't work. We've seen the proof. They released Shervin Hajipour after we said his name like a million times. They released Hossein Ronaqi. They reversed the death sentence of Salman Yassin. They reversed the death sentence of Dr. Hamid Qare Hassanlu. So far, the trending names have not been killed. Say their names to save their lives.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here, Conversations with Taz, for Think About It Thursday. Sorry I was not able to join you all last night. We did have a bit of a family emergency, but I will get that show rescheduled for you with my son, because the topics that he wanted to discuss, I do believe that you all would thoroughly enjoy it. But let's deep dive right into it, because tonight is going to be a long one, because we have some stuff to catch up on and to make up for. But let's start the night with the man, the myth, the viral internet infection that just will not go away, was just forced away. Andrew Tate has been arrested. Sit back, get comfy. This is a good ride.
Do y'all remember yesterday how Miss Greta Thunberg absolutely ratioed the fuck out of Andrew Tate? And you know how Andrew Tate got raided a few hours later by the Romanian police? Well, those things are linked together, and I'm going to tell you how. Andrew Tate tweeted this at Greta Thunberg. She responded with this and ratioed him by over 2 million likes. And since he couldn't just take the L, he tweeted back at her. In doing that, he doxed himself. That video was recorded at a local Romanian pizza place. And because of that, the Romanian police were able to identify that he was in fact in Romania, which is why he got raided. That ratio hurt that man so bad that he forgot how to act. He forgot he was a criminal, and he fucked around and found out.
Okay, so we have more information on the raid of Andrew Tate. This motherfucker doxed himself. He doxed himself! Apparently, they've been working on this case for 9 months. They put all the evidence together from a raid in April. And they are now able to prove the accusations made during hearings from their alleged victims are real. Sources close to the investigation stated that, unfortunately, I can't say that. Shortly after the completion of the computer expertise, the authorities waited for the right moment to catch the Tate brothers, who were always out of the country. Because he made that stupid fucking video responding to Greta Thunberg, they knew he was home. Not only that, a police officer was arrested, and it is now being investigated for this too. Oh, he's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. And I love this for him.
Y'all, I'm out of breath, and I just ended my jog early. Literally, I ran home to tell y'all this. So at this point, everybody already knows this goofy goober right here, Andrew Tate. Just an awful person in every facet of the word. Yesterday, he tweeted this at Greta Thunberg, who is a magnificent young climate activist, where he's literally just bragging about owning 33 cars and how many emissions he puts out. So little Miss Greta, being an absolute legendary icon, tweets back and says, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smallenergy@getalife.com. And that was a huge ratio, but that's not even the best part. So old Andrew Tate here makes a response video where he acts like a man-child, obviously. In his response video, he orders a pizza in a non-recyclable box, which I don't even understand the joke. Y'all, authorities were able to track his location using the pizza chain in the video, which has led to his arrest in Romania for, you guessed it, none other than human trafficking. Commentate W here.
So a luxury villa owned by Andrew Tate was raided by armed police in Romania on Thursday, December 29th, today. It was conducted by the Directorate for the Investigation of Organized Crime and Terrorism, according to Romanian media outlets. The judicial sources informed the outlet that the two British brothers have been under investigation since the spring for the alleged kidnapping of two young women in their villa. They are also suspected of forming an organized criminal group and rape, and the two have been picked up and taken to a hearing at Dicot, according to the cited sources. Prosecutors allegedly suspect the creation of an organized criminal group with the explicit aim of recruiting and exploiting girls for the creation of pornographic clips that would be intended for distribution for a fee on profile sites, such as OF. Andrew and Tristan are accused of obtaining large sums of money with which they bought houses, luxury cars, and crypto. The case against them started back in April when Dicot investigated the case of a young American woman seized involuntarily by the two British citizens. The authorities have reportedly focused attention on a number of luxury vehicles at the residence. The local CNN reports that a police trailer is on site, possibly to uplift one or multiple vehicles. The same outlet also reports that the home of a former policewoman has been raided in connection to the investigation. A day after going at it with Greta on Twitter. Seems like he may have a few less cars once this is over. But seriously, how does anyone fucking worship this man the way so many guys do? Fucking pathetic.
See, Andrew Tate is the epitome of men who hate women, so they target girls because they can intimidate them and control them. But just like the Kevin Samuelites that wanted to defend him and tell especially black women that we needed to be high value women, but when Kevin Samuels kicked the bucket, they had to have a GoFundMe for that low value man. Those of you all that have been out here paying to be in Andrew Tate's MLM, which just consists of you taking clips of his videos and posting them for him and hoping you make a profit off of it, and you recruiting other people to do the same. That's why he was everywhere. That's why he was everywhere. All of y'all that defended that, how many of y'all are pedophiles? How many of y'all are pedophiles? And you American men, you men in the United States were like, yeah, he tells it. He's British. And he's been hopping from country to country to escape being arrested. But his ego and his pride in a fight he started with a recently turned 19-year-old, just like R. Kelly, got him locked up. They won't let him out. And see, this is what gets me. There's so many people. I can't even say they're faking it to making it. They're just faking it online. And so many people have exposed Andrew Tate this year alone. We're not even going to go beyond. Let's just focus on fall and winter of 2022. The amount of people who have exposed him for faking having a private jet, faking the firearms that he had, and he just has airsoft whip, like everything. But y'all still, because he's your favorite. I swear. I really think that once somebody gets like 1 million followers, they could get on camera and tell you that they were Papa Smurf, and folks would believe it and would argue everybody else on the planet down. Going, nuh-uh, she is Papa Smurf. But okay. Now, let's take one moment to honor the memory of soccer great Pele, who unfortunately passed today. Please keep his family and friends in your thoughts, prayers, meditation. And as always, y'all know this wouldn't be a conversation with Taz if I didn't have some musk dirt. I mean, he is pretty musty, so it's not hard to scrape the dirt. But pay attention.
So Elon hosted an AMA on how he's going to turn around Twitter and ended up calling one of his engineers a jackass after he started getting grilled live.
I think, frankly, if you want to have a really high velocity of features, I think we'll just need to do a total rewrite of the whole thing.
Wait, seriously, a total rewrite. That's your prediction for velocity.
In layman's terms, Elon's suggesting that they just blow everything up and rewrite Twitter from scratch after they fired all the engineers.
Yeah. Well, when you say a total rewrite, do you mean starting with the skeleton, or a bunch of engineers sit down with a whiteboard and say, what is Twitter? Revolution or reform? I just mean like literally like this like you can either try to amend the crazy stack that exists, or rewrite it.
When you say crazy stack, what do you mean? Like, break it down.
So that long pause is basically just being like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Twitter, but it's just not working for me, so start all over again.
Have you seen George's like diagram?
No. I mean, like, what do you mean by crazy? No, seriously. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Who are you?
What do you mean? Who am I? I don't know. You gave me the fucking mic. I got no.
I'm doing the mic, and let's keep it civil in my space. I mean, yeah.
Like what? No, man. You're in charge of the servers and the programming, whatever. Like, what is the stack?
Keep things technical in my space, please.
Take me from top to bottom. What does the stack look like right now? What's so crazy about it? What's so abnormal about this stack versus every other large-scale system on the planet, buddy? Come on, give it to me.
All right. So first off, amazing. Wow, you're a jackass. Okay. All
right, no. I got no credibility here, buddy. I got no idea.
First off, let's keep my space civil. We removed him from speakers.
Side note, the person that was hosting that AMA has also quit his job as of yesterday. He didn't make it a month in, and I love this combo just for the simple fact that, like, how often do you get to hear one of the little guys that's just smarter than the actual capitalist tell a billionaire, like, hey, you don't know shit?
You guys! First, let me explain to you what a margin call is. It's a demand by a broker for an investor to deposit further cash or securities to cover possible losses. Alania Muscratina just got his first margin call. He got a margin call? I love this for him.
Okay, that first video, I have tried for years to explain to people certain calls that I get regarding business. People would legitimately look me up, get on the phone with me, or email me to hire me to do something for them. Then the whole way through, try to mansplain or whitesplain to me my position. And then when I ask them, like, okay, well, if you can do it better, one, why am I here? Two, explain to me in detail where I'm going wrong. Explain to me in detail that what you told me you wanted, you are not getting. Stop thinking because somebody has money, they are smart. Let us not forget Collegegate, where all those 1%ers got busted for buying entry into college and oftentimes degrees for their children. Let us not forget what Tucker Carlson did with his son, bought him a whole career. Tucker Carlson isn't even qualified for his own job. And then the second, I keep telling y'all, people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump are horrific businessmen. I know there are people that are like, oh, a narcissist makes a great business person. No, they don't. No, they don't. I don't give a damn about psychology through things. I give a damn about actual results. Look at every narcissist that gets into business. They put themselves above everything else and they will crash and burn a business into the ground because their ego and protecting their ego is too important. Look at how many businesses Trump has started or branded that no longer exist. Look at just the debacle with the Trump NFTs. Elon Musk is no different. He has no idea what he's doing. He keeps getting into these tech branded companies and he barely knows how to work a phone. Let's not forget, Amber Heard extorted him out of money. She ain't the brightest bulb in the box. Like, geez, like, if they take the help, are there some narcissists that have been able to be successful? Yeah, look at Kanye West. And now look at Kanye West burn all of his success to the ground. Because there were people around that could hone him in for a little bit. He had something or someone else to control. His narcissism was spread out. Elon Musk has his public persona. Elon Musk, he's going to do everything to keep trying to control that narrative and protect himself then. Because he doesn't have anything else that he truly values. Now, from one side of the coin to the next, should you, like Broadway plays, should you end up on Broadway to partake in a play, that is not the place to heckle people or be disrespectful, especially when it comes to our greats as they are gracing le stage de Broadway. Pay close attention. We're going to come back and we're definitely going to talk about this.
When this play was written, a young man came from New Orleans to be a photographer. He decided to go home and raise his 3 boys in New Orleans, one of which is me. He fought for this country and loved it when it didn't love him back. But he gave me the most precious thing ever: love and time. So, if you would allow me to give a memento of this precious moment in time to my father, 97 years old. All right, you can stay. You can stay, but we have to say, you're not going to judge him? Hey, let him tell this place. She violent? All right, that's fine.
Let me start off by saying this. If you ever see me in a show and you ever feel so inclined to be that level of disrespectful, understand this: your ass will get cussed out. Hands might get thrown. If you ever come to a theater that I'm at and disrespect the theater, the other patrons that have paid their hard-earned money to come see a show, and you decide to be that ignorant and show your ass, okay, try your mother, not me, okay? Because fuck the show at that point. At that point, Tobias is back, okay? At that point, that ass is going to get laid into, okay? So, this is a fair warning. Don't ever try that shit with me.
Wendell Pierce, in my humble opinion, is one of the greatest to ever do it. I don't care if it's on the silver screen, the tiny screen, or especially the Broadway stage. For a man who so vehemently represents and protects his community and puts his heart and soul into every product and production that he's a part of. Why? Why? And also, it's not as if Broadway tickets are 2 for $5. Buy one, get one free. And why do y'all always want to try Black people on our jobs? Just why? But there's always going to be a Karen somewhere. Always and forever. But maybe some of y'all know about the Costco Don story. Maybe some of y'all don't. But there are two incredible plot twists. And baby, you know me, we about to get into it.
Remember the lady Dawn who hates poor people that found the receipt at Costco? Ooh, I have an update for you guys. Are you ready? So this Karen out in Murrieta, California claims that she found a receipt with $613 worth of premium meat purchased at Costco with an EBT card. And there was an $1,800 balance, and she basically shamed the person who used this card to purchase their meat. Well, Twitter did their thing, and turns out old Dawn is the one who actually used the EBT card. After Dawn's tweet went viral, stealth internet users looked her up, found her Instagram, and noticed something pretty suspicious. Several of the items on the receipt she found now appeared on her Instagram, like this pork belly. And they went to her Facebook and found the steaks. They also looked Dawn up and found out that she has a $3 million PPP loan that she took out that was also forgiven. After Twitter users threatened to turn Dawn in for fraud, guess what she did? She deleted her Twitter. It's nothing worse than an anti-poor hypocrite, especially one that leads a whole trail of evidence back to themselves. Don McKenzie, do better. The internet's watching. Remember the lady Dawn who hates poor people that found the receipt at Costco? Ooh, I have a...
Go back and watch the rest of that video if you don't know why Dawn is a terrible human being and is justifiably receiving a lot of heat. So much that they took their Twitter account down. The issue is there's a new Twitter account with a very similar handle, and the problem is they stole my face. Yeah, they are using my Twitter profile photo for their account. And I would like to believe that I am not a... and my videos keep getting taken down asking for help because I'm bullying. But the problem is they stole me. Yeah, so I need help in, taking care of that, since I'm not sure what words I'm allowed to use or not use. I'm assuming that racist cunt isn't one of them.
Now, when I first heard the story, my first question is, first of all, you see a receipt on the ground. Pre-COVID, I would have picked it up and threw it away. Post-COVID, if I had like a plastic bag or something near me or a tissue, I'd pick it up and throw it away. Who picks up a receipt and goes through it in such detail? Especially a Costco receipt. And then, as always, right on schedule. In so many comment sections, there were people trying to defend this white woman. I look at other people's receipts. Why? Their address isn't on there. You can't pop up at their house and they're going to share with you. But there was one comment that hit the nail on the head. And the person said they knew that Don was lying because if you've never used EBT, how would you know what to look for on the receipt? And I tell you, racist white people tell on themselves every single day on the internet, whether it's on their regular main accounts where they show their face or on their burner accounts where they're pretending to be a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, a member of the disabled community, a member of the BIPOC community. They always tell on themselves. Why go and shame someone knowing you can't help but post everything about your life on the internet? Oh, I know why. Because far too many people don't pay attention and don't connect the dots. Because I can't tell you how many folks I've seen online criticize somebody else for getting online because they're in need and asking for money or putting out a GoFundMe to turn around and ask people for money. And folks act like it don't happen. Same folks to be like, I got 67 jobs. Okay. I understand things happen, but if you got 67 jobs, how you been on this live for 67 hours? Like, and then you delete your original account, Donnie Don Don, and then go steal somebody else's profile picture and try to start again. And see, that's another thing I will never understand. But since we're going to talk about racist, there's one thing. Let's finally put this to bed, okay? I'm going to address this here. Stop coming into my comment section trying to use this as a rebuttal or your entry into winning a gold medal in the oppression Olympics. Let's just finally talk about the Irish slave myth.
You do know that the Irish slave myth was invented by a Holocaust denier, right? Right? Also, there's a fellow on here who keeps comparing indentured servitude to chattel slavery, as if they are even remotely comparable. You know what the luck of the Irish is? Bad. It's bad luck. Horrific events happened to the Irish consecutively, one after another, in a row. And by saying the Irish were slaves too, or by trying to compare indentured servitude, which was bad, trying to compare that to the horror of chattel slavery, well, it is a slap in the face. It is an insult to the suffering of the Irish because you're saying, oh, every trauma they went through, every horrific event, that's not good enough.
Hear me and hear me well. Because when Irish people from Ireland talk about the potato famine, their disdain for the British monarchy, you don't hear Black people going, but, we had. No. We listen, we learn, we understand. But Irish Americans, soon as we have to remind people that the goalpost for whiteness has moved and changed over the years, all of a sudden, the Irish were treated so poorly and we had it worse and we were. Okay. Okay, Cindy Lou Who. Like, why? Why? Like, white people, why does everything have to be a competition with you? And you want to compete for the weirdest thing because you're not competing to step out of mediocrity. You're not competing to actually fix anything. You're not competing for this ghetto ass country to finally be what you market it as. You want to compete to say who had it worst historically. And then now, especially white men, cisgendered straight white men, are trying to act like they have it so bad now. Well, if it's so bad for y'all and have been so bad for y'all, why not push for CRT so people can learn about how bad it was for everybody? And why not change out of the systems of oppression since it seems to be oppressing everybody? Oh, because you know that that's a load of bullshit. You do to this country the same thing that you do to your wives. Make up some bullshit reason to weaponize your incompetence to keep you from doing anything. Ooh. Well, let's run this ad and we're going to get back into it.
Black girls magic, black girls rock. Once we get together, we can't be stopped. Cause we queens, relevant queens, intelligent queens, beautiful queens. Hey, black girl magic, black girls rock. Once we get together, we can't be stopped. Cause we queens, relevant queens, intelligent queens, some beautiful queens. Hey. This one goes out to my sisters from other misters to let you know I'm with ya. Cause we are Nubian goddesses, princess and queens. Yeah, this is our anthem, this is our team. So don't let them say that you ain't beautiful, be true to you. And don't let them say that you ain't relevant, it's evident we queens. Talented queens, gifted queens, inspiring queens. Hey, and no matter what.
The meat's so tender you can cut it with a straw. And the stuffing goes so crazy, make you want to slap your granny.
You want to try it and go viral on America's Most Pimp Slap Video, baby.
Okay, right there in that outfit, the hairstyle, and what she just said, Miss Marla, Miss Marla, Miss Marla. I swear I was seeing my granny right there. But since we already talked about one crazy racist,
I understand a lot of you are really hard pressed about this braid situation. So I figured instead of picking one of you, I would just address all of you as a collective on the subject.
you thought that it was a good idea during a black girl follow train after y'all called upon us when Roe v. Wade was overturned, and at the height of the whole passport bros thing, to call upon all black women. You are very low IQ, but let's keep going.
And as a hairstylist, maybe reaching out to a community where,
a hairstylist that would not be taught how to deal with heavily textured hair. And the fact that you discussed braids very loosely and not the specific braids that are inherent to black woman culture within the United States. Oh, this is going to be a roller coaster for you.
pretty much any culture out there has worn braids or dreads, so we could just.
Now, any culture has not worn braids or dreads, and we don't do dreads because our hair isn't dreadful, but there are those of us that adorn our crowns with locks because we're not matting our hair with dirt and sweat and mud. You know, like the Vikings, which were a collection of occupations, did with their hair, and then they would unmat it after war. Okay, let's keep it pushing.
Whatever with that. But times have evolved. Maybe we should switch some things up, you know. So
What are we switching up? Because times really haven't evolved. Since we discovered Anglo-Saxons existed, y'all just steal. But keep going.
If we can't wear braids, does that
You can wear braids, just not box braids, cornrow. I thought you said you were a hairstylist or a hairdresser.
mean that you guys have to give something up? Like maybe lace fronts? Because that isn't even your texture anyways. Why you...
You know, I knew the argument was going to be something stupid. I didn't think it was going to be this stupid. So it's quite clear you do not know, nor do you understand assimilation. And I'm not going to do that labor for you. But straightening hair, okay, it's not our texture. You do realize Black people are not a monolith, and there are Black people who have naturally straight hair. Not everybody has the kinkiest of the curliest of hair because we're Black. But okay, I mean, if you want some edge snatching box braids so you can rock alopecia, go ahead, Becky Ann. Come on, let's go.
You're trying to cover up your texture with our look and texture.
Girl, ain't nobody out here looking like Methany from the block. Ain't nobody out here looking like geriatric on the 6. And if you were a hairstylist or a hairdresser, or however you described yourself earlier, then you would understand. And if you were one that were well versed in Black woman's variety of textures of hair, you would understand what protective styles were. And nobody is trying to look like you. You look like an extra for an extra from Breaking Bad. What are you know what? Y'all do anything to try to, okay, keep going.
Or even more specifically, mostly Asian hair. What's wrong with your texture?
Ask your daddy. He the one that is making all these laws with his homeboys, saying that we look messy and disheveled and unkempt and we must assimilate in. Y'all were the ones that have been saying this for eons because y'all believe that white is right. So ask your daddy.
What's wrong with your hair? Worry about your shit.
We are. The problem is you worried about our shit too. You worried about how to put it on you because you don't like how you look. Like, geez, Louise. Like, I swear. Like, y'all sit here to cosplay Black women every freaking day of the week. For what? But you know what? Let's this next story, major trigger warning. Another Black child murdered. Pay close attention.
I'm so tired of having to say trigger warning, but Black children keep getting killed. October 12th, 5:30 in the afternoon, Columbus, Ohio, an apartment complex. Several witnesses see Craig Butler Sr. exit his red pickup truck, draw a firearm, and fire multiple shots at 13-year-old Sinze Reed, striking him 4 to 5 times, several of those being in his back. Mr. Butler then got back in his vehicle and fled the scene. The next day, police arrested him, charged him with murder. He's being held on $1 million bond. On top of that, he had previously been charged with domestic violence, and under federal law, he's not allowed to be in possession of a firearm. And then 5 days later, prosecutors dropped the charges and removed the bond and released him. And they did all of that without informing the victim's family at all. When the family did find out that happened and they asked why charges had been dropped, the lead detective told them it's because Mr. Butler and his mother gave statements indicating that this was self-defense. So somehow, from within his truck, that man felt threatened by that 13-year-old child, exited his truck, and shot him multiple times, some in the back, in self-defense. Now they're still investigating, but of course, that young boy's family is confused and wants to know why this has happened. They also said they have no reason to believe Sinze had a weapon, that he's not known to carry a weapon. So again, how is it self-defense? What kind of a completely fucked system does it take to have this man, who shouldn't have a gun, get out of his truck, fire multiple times, and kill this child? Witnesses say nothing about any return fire, anything, just that he was shot and killed. And then have this guy go, hey, self-defense. And his mother go, yeah, self-defense. And police stand over this child's dead body and say, oh, maybe. Columbus, Ohio. The whole world is watching.
The reason why this keeps happening is because look at the consequences right now. And imagine if we didn't have social media. Imagine if we didn't have smartphones. Imagine how many times this has happened over the years. Racists know that they can fulfill their murderous fantasies and ideologies by targeting BIPOC individuals. Their reasoning doesn't have to make sense. They don't even have to give a reasoning most of the time. There's always going to be a group of people to come to their defense. This is why there are those of us that speak up against racism, that show up to combat racism. This is why we get so frustrated with those of you out there that want to come into our comment section and go, just ignore them. Are we going to ignore them until we're all extinct? The ones that are already out here and got one foot in the grave because they're trying to live their best cocoon years right now. We know that it's slim to none chances that they will get over it. But guess who we can reach when we address people? Those underneath them. And this next video goes to show you, even the most racist white people love everything about being black except for being black.
I like the way you brush your hair, and I like those stylish clothes you wear, and I like the way that light hit the icing there, and I can see you coming way over there. If you wanna go and take a ride with me. Fine woman, won't you back that thing up? You call me Big Daddy when you back that thing up. What you playing with? Back that thing up. Because you look good, won't you back the thing up? You're a big fine woman, won't you back the thing up? You call me Big Johnny when you back that thing up. What you playing with? Back that thing up. Go, 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 go. Go, shorty, it's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's your birthday. We're gonna sip a party like it's your birthday. And you don't need to give a radio edit and start your birthday. Find me in the club.
Well, the amount of Black unsigned artists, cover bands, DJs that could have come in and did that. And I'll give you two guesses as to how many attendees walked away going, oh, this is better than the original. See, what they did way back, and when rhythm and blues, jazz, and rock and roll was first being established within the United States, this is the same thing that they did. They loved what Black people were bringing to the airwaves and their eardrums, but they wanted a white face. And once again, they suck all the seasoning out of it. Ooh, this is so great. Why do you think they love Elvis so much? Because all he did was steal. He cosplayed a Black man on stage and a Black woman. It's nothing new to us. It, it's just funny because these are the same one that'll get online and tell us Black people that the same music they were listening to right there, it's right in your brain, and this is what's wrong with your community. It's your music promoting blah 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 blah. But you was just shaking your ass to it, Beckiana. That, that, that's what you were doing. Hmm. Now, this next video, I do want you all to pay close attention to. I don't know if you follow this next creator on TikTok, but if you don't, make sure you do. He is excellent, but he does have a stalking situation. So if you can get over to his page and help boost his content, especially talking about the stalker, repost and or duet to keep him safe, that would be great. Pay close attention.
My stalker wants views, so here you go.
Katie Khan, Nurse Naya, Care Bear, which honestly that one hurt a lot. Mary Jo Lop, Dr. Panda, all of them said that I deserved everything that has been done to me. I want to remind you, I told a guy he was wrong, and he was wrong. And so then his sidekick decided to manipulate people into thinking that I am a racist and a homophobe who doesn't take care of her children.
Now, why would people think that she is a racist?
I just had a Black man say that I was incredibly racist because I don't think a Black man can do something without affirmative action law.
Oh yeah, and then there was this too.
Just because one group doesn't have power and the other one does, doesn't make one group better or worse than the other. So if the people who look like me are in power, why would I do what I can to stop them from being in power so that people who hate people who look like me can be in power? That's dumb.
And I love how hurt you were by the Care Bear situation. Is this you?
Talk about Care Bear 3.0. She's a fucking weak bitch too. She's a disappointment. And I don't give a shit. I hate weak women.
You were also called an ableist because you made fun of my alcoholism and pretended like you were trying to congratulate me while accusing me of quitting alcohol because I was abusive, which wasn't the case.
Oh my God, are you surprised? She is totally making fun of my alcoholism. I haven't had a drink in 2 years, and that is definitely deserve a congratulations.
What?
But obviously, I was abusive or something to make me say I have to stop drinking.
Not the Valley Girl voice macroaggression used against a gay man. Oh, and then there was that time when you called being queer a misfortune.
In honor of Pride Month, I'm not selling any merchandise. I'm not going to sell any merchandise because it's not up to me to make money off of other people's misfortune.
You were also discouraging people from purchasing my merch, me, a gay person. And let us not forget, every single time you have spoken with or to or at or made content about JDCon, you have misgendered them. Here's the kicker, because you're like, I'm not a stalker, but then there's this.
You can block, but you can't hide. See, judging by all the blocks and the fact that John Scott didn't respond to the cease and desist letter that was written for me by my lawyer, I don't think y'all understand that I don't stop until I feel I have received the justice that I am entitled to.
That cease and desist letter had no letterhead from a lawyer, nor a signature from a lawyer, had nothing but grammatical errors and misspellings. You wrote that. And my lawyer said it was a joke. I have a plethora of videos proving my side of this.
Now, just so you know, he does have a 5-year protection order, and I have seen this devolve. And just to let you know, the woman that's stalking him, from time to time, she may come across your FYP because she'll say things that'll make you think that she's an ally. But one thing that I do remember regarding her from last year, and it has stuck with me, and it makes my spine tingle every time I see her. If somebody's duetting her or whatever. She specifically said that she started making a list of large creators. She likes to go after large creators. Evidently, her husband owns some company, so she just sits at home and unravels. So yeah, if you're not a large creator, she really doesn't care about you. She legitimately gets her rocks off by going after large creators, accusing them of craziness. Now, but of course, the next hot topic of the week, libs of TikTok. Whew, buckle up.
This video is being made for educational purposes only. Having said that, trigger warning in this one. Are y'all familiar with the name Chaya Raychick? If you aren't, look at this. Chaya Raychick not only runs the account Libs of TikTok, which if you're familiar with that account, it is, awful. But recently she did an interview with Tucker Carlson, of all people. I do have the video clip and I'm gonna play it for you now, but fair warning, everything she says in this video is extremely frustrating, and I would just say if you're very sensitive to anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, do not watch this and just either click off the video or skip ahead through it, but nonetheless, let's play it.
What is going on here? Do you have any theories?
I think there's something so unique about the LGBTQ community has become this cult.
No. Chaya, you want to know what a cult is? The Trump Party. That is a cult. Speaking of which, Chaya, can you explain why you were caught at the Capitol on January 6th? Can you explain that? That's some pretty, culty behavior, if you ask me.
And it's so captivating, and it pulls people in so strongly, unlike anything we've ever seen. And they brainwash people to join, and they convince them of all of these things, and it's really, really hard to get out of it.
This is the last time I'm going to interrupt this video, but what? Brainwashing people to join. What, are they brainwashing people into being gay? Are they brainwashing people into becoming non-binary? What are we talking about? This does not make any sense, but then again, people who spout this type of rhetoric, their belief system doesn't make any sense.
Really difficult. And there are studies on this. Like there's been a lot of reporting on this about people, parents who are like, my child is starting to say, that they're non-binary or transgender or whatever, and what do I do? How do I stop this? And it's really, really difficult. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, I think. It's extremely poisonous. I think they're evil. And sometimes we try to break it down a lot, and we discuss like why this is happening, what's happening, and whatever. And I think sometimes the simplest answer is like they're just evil. They're bad people. They're just evil people, and they want to kids.
Yeah.
They're recruiting.
A few things that I want y'all to pay attention to in what she said. It's hard to break out of it. Are you a conversion camp survivor? One, how can you brainwash someone into something with so much violence against them? Wouldn't there be a PR campaign somewhere? Wouldn't there be pamphlets? That's what conservatives do. Right now, looking at the Don't Say Gay bill, the attack on drag queens, gay clubs being shot up, gay-owned restaurants or gay-friendly places being torched, and would go, yeah, today I've decided to be gay. Like, no. And do you notice how they never have anything to back it up? See, I thought the Libs of TikTok page on Twitter, which I thought was weird, Libs of TikTok, but you're on Twitter, but I digress, was run by a collection of people. I've seen some of the videos where you could tell that they were edited. And some of the edits you could tell specifically which hate groups were editing them and just sending them to her, and she was definitively not fact checking anything. But yeah, pretty much looks like her at the Capitol. And coming from the Insider, where this picture comes from, the woman behind Libs of TikTok revealed her face on Fox News, leading to video seeming to show her at the Capitol on January 6th. Now, before I get into the article, let's keep in mind that she's claiming that by her name and her face being exposed, she was doxxed. But she doxxed several people, and put them in danger. All because of her crazed beliefs. And instead of just saying, you know what, we don't believe the same thing, the right has this weird sense of entitlement that they must eliminate anyone who doesn't think like them. But here are the key points. Chaya Raichik showed her face on Tucker Carlson's Fox News show on December 27th. A few hours later, several people said they found her in imagery from January 6th at the Capitol. Disinformation researcher Chad Loader documented evidence in their newsletter. Chaya Raichik, known for running the channel Libs of TikTok, appears to have been spotted in videos from the U.S. Capitol on January 6th after giving her first on-camera interview. Raichik appeared on December 27th to Tucker Carlson Today, a show on the Fox News streaming service Fox Nation. In the interview, she spoke about her channel, where she gathers content from other users, predominantly LGBTQ ones, to mock them. Though her page was banned from TikTok in March, she built up a following on Twitter of some 1.7 million people. Now, she said she was afraid for her life, so much that she admitted that Governor DeSantis was willing to give up the guest house at the governor's mansion to hide her. No, she does not reside in the state that he is the governor of. Marjorie Taylor Greene reached out to her, all these different people. But you go onto Tucker Carlson on a streaming service. I love how people claim to be doxxed and that they're in so much trouble and they increase their visibility. And I don't know, my spidey senses are tingling because every time somebody just goes so hard against the LGBTQIA plus community, they're generally a closeted member. And they're just hating the fact that other people are living their best life. Like they can't do that as well. Like if you stop spreading BS hate, everybody could live their best life and be fine. It's the dumbest thing. The interview also showed people what Raichik looked like, leading to people matching her image to a woman at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Extremism and disinformation researcher Chad Lauder gathered evidence and documented videos and images in their newsletter and said it had persuaded them that Raichik was there. They noted screenshots of a Twitter account, Shia Ray, which software developer Travis Brown identified in April to be associated with Raichik, appeared to show her describing heading to D.C. that day. I am taking off work to support Trump, one now deleted tweet said. Every single supporter matters. Loader also noted a distinctive ring on Raichik's right hand in the interview clip, which is also visible in a photo of a woman who looks a lot like Raichik from the Trump rally that preceded the group of protesters to the Capitol, starting the riot. Now, hold on. There's a...
Go, 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 go! Get in the building!
Right there.
Get in the building! Me and my boy.
Raichik also seems to be visible wearing the same MAGA hat in the video posted on TikTok by the username HubiS22C on January 8th, 2021. You know what? I have been saying this since camcorders and mini camcorders were introduced to the market. For some odd reason, criminals, and especially white criminals, love videoing their crimes and posting it places or sharing it with people, and then get so shocked when they're busted. But from one shocked idiot criminal to another, the other big story of the week, dun dun dun. Yes, the George Santos saga continues, and this rabbit just dive in.
Me personally, I've never claimed to own property myself.
I have never claimed to own property myself. Okay, that's pretty clear.
So no, I do not own property. I've never purchased property under my name ever.
But your family property, I think.
My family has property, and I'm able to use of their property, and I help them out with, keeping the books and stuff like that. But that's a family affair.
Okay, so no property, doesn't have property, never claimed to own property. Here he is saying he sold a property. Okay, let's see if I've got this lined up right. Let's take a listen.
Like that's how. You know what's funny? 2 years ago, I sold a property I had on 28th Avenue.
I sold a property I had, not I helped my family sell a property of theirs. I sold a property I had.
So George Santos has explained how he had, how you can go from having $5,000 one year to then having a net worth of over $11 million the year after that. So here's what he did. Now, the first thing you want to do is, even though you've lied about everything and you've bounced around from, job to job, and your last known employer was that of a Dish Network customer service representative, you want to secure employment as the vice president at a business development firm. George found Linkbridge, a business development firm in which he was able to secure this position. Now, what do you do at Linkbridge? Basically, you introduce capital. You're in the capital introduction industry in which you bring together investors and hedge funds. All right. Now, the key to your success is actually leaving that job before the Securities and Exchange Commission accuses that firm of money laundering to the tune of $17 million, which in this case they did in April of 2021. But don't worry, because in May of 2021, George then created a new company called DeVolder. Now, he describes DeVolder as doing the same type of thing. He's putting together very rich people with deals. He describes it at, let's say that you want to sell your $20 million yacht. What his company does is he looks into his Rolodex of 15,000 very rich people that he has built, this incredible network of people, 15,000 strong, and then he's able to reach out to them and say, hey, do you want a yacht? And then he charges a commission on that. So let's say it's a couple $100,000 commission. And he was so successful at that that in just 1 year, he was able to take his company DeVolder's assets from zero to a stated $80 million in 1 year. And he's actually able to pay himself a salary of, $1 million to $5 million a year. And then he subsequently used that money to put into his campaign. So he was able to loan his campaign $700,000 from that money of the company. Now, really important that your company does the right things with the feds and filing, annual disclosures, which unfortunately DeVolder didn't do in 2022. So the company was disbanded and is no longer. So even though the company was so successful, it racked up $80 million from the time that you created the company just weeks before you announced your election, your bid for the election, and then dissolved because you forgot to file paperwork just weeks before the election. That's not suspicious at all. That's how you become rich, according to George Santos.
So for those of you who were wondering where George Santos got his $705,000, we actually have a little bit more information now. Got this information from Mueller She Wrote, so you can go and follow her on Twitter and follow her podcast because she talks about all of this stuff. So we're getting information now that George Santos got most of his campaign dollars from an individual named Andrew Intrater, who was acting as kind of a mediator between his cousin and the campaign. His cousin is a Russian oligarch named Viktor Vekselberg. Vekselberg actually donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Michael Cohen's consulting firm while he was working directly with Donald Trump, so no surprise there. He also had his $90 million yacht seized by the Department of Justice because they're accusing him of both fraud and money laundering. Vekselberg was also in business with Oleg Deripaska, who was trying to get Mitch McConnell to lobby Congress to lift sanctions on Russian oligarchs just recently so that they could build an aluminum plant in Kentucky. So I know that was a lot of names and connected people, and it just feels really complicated, but essentially it breaks down to this. Deripaska and Vekselberg gives money to Andrew Intrater because those two at the top are both Russian oligarchs and are sanctioned by the United States. They can't legally give money. So Andrew Intrater becomes a mediator between these Russian oligarchs and George Santos. So he delivers the money to fund his campaign. George Santos is directly being funded by Russian oligarchs. Is anyone surprised? I'm certainly not, because this is par for the course for Republicans to get rich and allow for foreign intervention into our policies, into our politics, into our campaigning, into everything that is the United States. And now that we have this information, the Republicans, who are the only ones that can keep George Santos from being sworn in on January 3rd, are still going to swear him in. And Republican voters will continue to cheer this on because they don't care about the United States, they don't care about the people that live in this country, they only care about how they feel, and they want to feel as if they are superior because they're white supremacists. All of them. If you are still clinging on to hope that the Republican Party is somehow going to be the Reagan Party again, or the Republicans during George Bush Sr.'s term, or even George Bush Jr., that's not happening. The hood has been lifted, and your party has been shown to be exactly who they are and have always been. It's just out in the public now. And if you're still supporting them, then yes, you are a white supremacist. Yes, you are comfortable and you are endorsing this kind of interference in our policy, our elections, and everything that we do in this country. Because you're not a patriot. You are a nationalist. Look that up. It is not a good thing to be.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
You know, I also battled a brain tumor a couple of years ago, and I had radiation done, which really lowers your immunity.
I'm just glad he made a full recovery.
George Santos' day just went from bad to worse.
And with almost as many lies on his resume as lines on his resume. He is now under federal investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. A source familiar with the matter tells me tonight that prosecutors are looking into his finances. The congressman-elect, as you know, has faced questions about his wealth and loans totaling more than $700,000 he made to his 2022 campaign. We have asked for a comment from a representative for Mr. Santos, but so far have not heard back. And again,
he's now under federal investigation. And if you thought that was bad, people also found this tweet and then this tweet. He literally lied about the death of his mother. At this point, what hasn't he lied about? Now, Kevin McCarthy can do the right thing here and ask him to resign. But he won't, because he doesn't have a spine. And all he cares about, and Republicans for that matter, is staying in power.
George Santos, in July of 2021, 9/11 claimed my mother's life, so I'm blocking so I don't ever have to read this again. George Santos, December 2021. December 23rd this year marks 5 years I lost my best friend and mentor. Mom, you will live with me forever in my heart. George Santos, November 16th, 2020. I'm half black and live in a biracial family. R.I.P. his mom.
Okay, the stories around George Santos is getting wilder and wilder. Let me explain. So many of you have seen this circulating both on here and on Twitter, that George Santos claimed that 9/11 took his mother's life. He made this tweet on July 12th, 2021, and then fast forward to December 23rd of the same year, he marks the 5 year that he lost his best friend and mentor his mom, who will live forever in his heart, basically stating that she died December 23rd, 2016, so 15 years post 9/11. So I want to start by saying I'm fully aware that 9/11 survivors, particularly emergency responders, have dealt with lifelong health issues that have caused them to die early, including things like cancer. However, George has never stated the company his mom, who was a Brazilian immigrant, supposedly climbed the ranks in as a financial genius and working at the South Towers during 9/11, but instead there is evidence that in 2011 and 2012, so 4 to 5 years prior to her death, she was a domestic employee in the city of Queens with George's sister, her daughter. In fact, former friends who were interviewed stated that while he had fine taste and very lavish descriptions of being a real estate owner in all these different locations, he was actually working for Dish Network, making roughly $15 an hour. And this 9/11 story is further proven to be false in the very GoFundMe that George set up to raise funds for his mother's funeral after her passing, which is ironic seeing that he's made claims in 2020 that he was 11 years successful as a financial investor and owned multiple real estates. Why would he be creating a GoFundMe? But in George's own words, he deemed his mom's death both delicate and unexpected. It appears to me that if your mom was suffering from long-term health conditions and possibly cancer due to her exposure to the 9/11 events, this would be far from unexpected. In addition to the lies around his mother's death, we're also discovering that he was in fact married to a woman, not a man, from 2012 until 2019. In fact, he divorced this Brazilian citizen merely 2 weeks before filing to run for office the first time in 2020. It's also been shown that he has never lived with this woman despite being married to her. And then in fact, as reported by the New York Times, he lived with his mom and sister, and the three were evicted from an apartment back in 2014, 2 years into their marriage. Now, I also want to be clear that the stigma around the LGBTQ plus community has caused many individuals over the last several decades to marry in a heterosexual relationship despite knowing that they are not in fact heterosexual. And while that could be the case with George here, I find it interesting that he ran on a ticket of being openly gay, and even at one point stated on his campaign page that he had a husband, when in fact there's zero record of him ever being married to a man and only a record of him being married to a woman that might have been a green card situation. And the fact that this picture is circulated of his supposed wedding day, this doesn't even look like a real picture. It looks straight up anime. We don't even know the name of the Brazilian pharmacist that he supposedly married, that there's no record of his marriage. I'm gonna make another video because this is just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip.
At this point, there are a lot of people who are like, why didn't the Republican Party vet them? Oh, they did. Look how many grifters are in the Republican Party. Marjorie Taylor Greene grifted constituents out of so much money. She bought a new SUV that for weeks she did all of her interviews out of the SUV. She wanted her divorce proceedings sealed. I don't know if she's back from Costa Rica or not, but let's not forget, I did report on that. She's chilling in Costa Rica while Congress is in session. Trump, like, there. And then people are going, Republicans, staunch conservative Republicans, the government isn't doing anything. No shit, the Republican Party. Guess what their plans are? When the new Congress is seated in a week, to stall every bit of legislation until they get rid of Medicare and Social Security. They're going to do the same thing they did with Obama to Joe Biden. Absolutely, positively nothing. They want to investigate Joe Biden. For what? They want to waste millions of taxpayer dollars, but not give you universal health care, not give you a livable minimum wage, because it's not in the budget. But all these scam hearings and scam bills and scam articles of impeachment, they're in the budget. Okay, this is going to get a little rocky to close out the show, but there are some updates for some hot headlines this week. Remember the 10-year-old who murdered his mother? It appeared very premeditated from the original information that I brought you all. We got updates. I'll save my comments for the end.
Old. The 10-year-old throughout most of the hearing sat quietly with his head down.
You understand we're in juvenile court, but this is an adult court proceeding.
Prosecutors have charged him with first-degree intentional homicide. Records indicate he shot his mother in the face after refusing to buy him a virtual reality headset.
The complaint alleges that the victim was shot at very close range in the head.
On Wednesday, the boy's attorneys asked the court to drop a second count of reckless homicide, calling it redundant. That will be decided next month. They've also asked bail be reduced to $100, the only money they say the boy has.
My team and I had spoken with him about his ability to post anything. He told us about piggy banks with savings that he had from gifts, from birthday gifts, and scavenging through cushions in the couch that he's been able to save up.
The judge did not reduce bail, keeping it at $50,000. If the boy is unable to post bail, he may remain in custody now and for the rest of his life if convicted.
Let's keep in mind that he had cut the cameras that his mother put in the house. He had snuck and had already gotten the keys to unlock her gun safe box. He went downstairs and took a shooting stance and shot her in the face at close range. I don't know if this kid has binge watched Law and Order, if he's a sociopath, if this is a defense method of his defense team, that now he's being all meek and shut down and putting his head down, and they want to talk about the money he has in his piggy banks and want to keep putting up that, it's piggy banks, it's money that he has from here. First of all, no family is coming to get him. They did their best to try to get him help to avoid something like this. But if he has hundreds of dollars saved up, why didn't he buy his own virtual reality set if he wanted it that bad? That's telling me that he just wanted to kill someone. So who is he going to be released to? Who is going to be safe around him? Okay. Now, also, I'm not sure if you all heard about the hate crime that was committed at, I believe, an In-N-Out Burger. There has been an arrest. Here's the update.
A man was arrested and charged for a hate crime after this incident was caught on camera.
Japanese or Korean? I'm Korean. Kim Jong-un's boyfriend, huh? You're Kim Jong-un's boyfriend?
The two friends were eating at an In-N-Out Burger on Christmas Eve when a man off camera began harassing them.
Just filming yourself eating? Yeah. You're weird.
At first, the two friends tried to laugh it off.
I just want to eat my flying Dutchman in peace, bro. It's because I'm ethnic. Honestly, for eating the flying Dutchman, I kind of feel like I deserve to be hate crime.
After a while, however, the man became even more hostile.
I didn't say anything. You didn't say anything? No, sir. Nothing. I can spit in your face and some Filipino shit.
The two friends left after the restaurant closed and were escorted by staff to their car. California police arrested the man, a Colorado resident, after the San Ramon Police Department chief saw the video go viral on TikTok. According to the New York Times, he is no longer in custody, and it is unclear whether official charges will be filed.
And for those that want to come and criticize because you're unclear as to why they were laughing and giggling at first, because sometimes when you're in uncomfortable situations like that, that's the best way to stay alive. That's the way to stay unassaulted. That is a way of kind of de-escalating things, because yes, you want to get up, you want to defend yourself, you want to yell, but we know within the BIPOC community that if we do that, all of the focus shifts on us. We're the angry, aggressive savages, and that's no bueno. So sometimes you have, yeah, you, because it would have been a whole different story, and it wouldn't have taken some days for an arrest if they would have reacted. And you heard the young lady say to the young man, don't react. So please stop telling us that racism is over. It doesn't exist. Oh, everybody's so equal. They couldn't even just eat their meal. Um, got a Casey Young update because once again, the media is going to protect white women. But Casey Young is the white woman that threw water on a man who happened to be homeless. Yes, in these temperatures, But look how they're portraying her as they're telling the story. Give you two guesses why they're portraying her this way.
Many of you have seen the video of Casey Young throwing water on a houseless person at her job. What I want to know is when they talk about this story, why are they using this picture of her with darker skin and appropriated hair instead of who she really is? Make it make sense.
Yeah, a white woman assaulted a black man. I would say it was attempted murder because we know what the temperatures have been since Winter Storm Elliott hit most of the United States. And she threw water on him because he was rummaging through the garbage for food. Oh, wow, somebody's rummaging through stuff that you threw away. But yeah, and all of her cosplaying a black woman glory, that's the picture that they're choosing. See, when I tell y'all they try to skew not only statistics, but public image to give the good old racist another black on black crime narrative. Whew. We got two more for tonight. On Christmas Day, there were some murders at Kingdom Hall. Here is the update.
So look, y'all, the word on the street, because they're not officially saying it, is that he was ousted from the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall. And I'm going to say it's rightfully so, because like last year, when him and his wife were fired from a job, he threatened to kill her and a union president at that time. It looks like life had caught up with him, or I don't know what was going on, but I think they were right to kick him out and oust him.
45. That's when Thornton police say 46-year-old Enoch Apodaca walked into the Electrical Workers Union building on Logan Street in Adams County with a bucket in hand. Minutes later, after police say Apodaca got back into his car and took off, there was a large explosion inside the building, which was closed at the time. No one was hurt. About 15 minutes after that, police say Apodaca drove with his wife, 44-year-old Melissa Apodaca, to the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Thornton. According to Thornton police, Apodaca broke a window in the church and threw 3 explosive devices inside. They did not go off. Police say Apodaca then shot and killed his wife before killing himself. According to police, the couple once belonged to the church, but were no longer welcome there for reasons that have not been made clear. Court records also show that both Apodaca and his wife were fired from their jobs last year at an electric company, after which Apodaca threatened to shoot a union representative, Mrs. Apodaca, and people at the company that fired him. Thornton police say they've now found numerous items at Apodaca's Westminster home consistent with the making of explosives found at the Kingdom Hall in Thornton. They also say on Christmas Eve, the night before all this happened, Apodaca reached out to a member of the congregation about coming back to the church and was told he would need to speak with a church elder. Kim?
This is why we say some religions are incredibly toxic. I'm going to go out on a whim here. This is just a hypothesis here. He threatened to kill his wife, and she didn't leave. A lot of religions put the onus on women to make relationships, especially marriages, work. And if they don't, the guilt, the shame is placed upon the woman. The man can go off and get remarried. The man could have 20 mistresses that everybody in the congregation knows about. Hell, the mistress could be in the congregation. No shame, no nothing. There might be some whispers, but they're definitely going to turn their head. And if nothing else, it seems like his wife was suffering the consequences of his actions when it comes to the congregation. I don't know about their job performance, but sometimes, actually not sometimes, it's time to break a lot of these religious traditions and save people. Because even if you didn't want to take that man back because you saw that he was a danger, how Christ-like is that? How holy is that? How brother, sister, nibblings protector is that of you? You're nobody's keeper if you're doing that. And it sounds like there was some paranoia going on for him to specifically want to kill the supervisor and his wife. Just, but to close out the night, DeSantis couldn't let Abbott outdo him before the year ended. Take a look.
Just when you think Ron DeSantis can't get any worse, he does. So after discovering that there was a Christmas drag show in Fort Lauderdale, he has ordered the Department of DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. I know this. I have a real estate license. I should be able to recall these things off the top of my head because that's who I have to check into. So anyways, so now he's using this government-funded entity to harass drag clubs. This letter was sent to the Plaza, which is an Orlando-based entertainment establishment that's going to be having a New Year's Eve drag show. And if you don't feel like reading, basically what they're saying is, if we found out there's any children involved in your drag nonsense, we're going to do things like pull your business licenses or your liquor licenses, which is basically threatening these businesses for how they exist, who they are, and who their patrons may be. But Ron, I thought this was a state of parental freedom. If I want to bring my kid to a drag show, I very well just may. Just because you think that they're sexualized doesn't mean everybody else does. Furthermore, I don't think Ron DeSantis has a leg to stand on, considering the fact that we all discovered today he extended the governor's mansion to the creator, the owner of Libs of TikTok. You know, that domestic terrorist-backed page that has done nothing but harass people who are liberal creators for the past months, including sending people to my home because they didn't like what I posted on the internet when I made a joke about abortion. Literally, there were people taking pictures of my home in front of my house because of this page. I had to file police reports and send cease and desist letters because of this page. And Ron DeSantis offered the guest house at the Florida governor's mansion to the vile woman who runs that hate-filled nonsense page. And I don't know about you, but obviously we should be using taxpayer dollars to fund domestic terrorists, right? I mean, isn't that what the Republican Party's basically doing at this point anyways? And as if that wasn't bad enough, we also discovered in the past 24 hours that Ron DeSantis's little buddy that was arranging his migrant flights for him was impersonating a character from Silence of the Lambs and using Clarice Starling as his alter ego to secure these flights using fake email addresses and obviously a fake name, while operating as a Florida official. Oh, and by the way, that guy that was impersonating Clarice Starling also had connections to the company that flew the migrants. Ah!
Tell me again how they're not a party full of grifters. I cannot. As always, thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, obviously, will be the last Freeform Friday of the year. So let's party it up. If you want me to react to certain things or discuss certain things, make sure you send them to me. I think I'm out of TikTok punishment, but to be on the safe side, just send it to me on IG. So as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
This once had many names, like Little Cherub, Mummy's Helper, or as it came to be known later, Murder Bottle. Baby bottles were popularized in the Victorian era. It was great for mothers who were unable to breastfeed as they no longer needed to hire a wet nurse. And they were also perfect for mothers in general who needed more time to fulfill their newly defined domestic duties, like overseeing the installation of arsenic-filled wallpaper. The shape of the bottle and the porous hose made it difficult to clean. They became a breeding ground for bacteria and mold. There's a lot of murder bottle swag on Etsy, by the way. And to make matters worse, a lot of the packaging that came with these bottles advised mothers to not wash the bottle but every 2 weeks. Even the Martha Stewart of the Victorian era agreed with this advice. You are not a baby's friend. Now, it may seem like common sense to wash a bottle today, but back in the late Victorian era, people were still a little unsure of what bacteria was, and germs were recently discovered. Thankfully, bottle shapes became more open, and laws were made to stop the sales of these awful murder bottles, as many children became extremely ill and many also died.